No, it's frozen again.
नहीं होगा, नहीं होगा।
If you're looking for that special piece of jewelry for that special person, well, you've come to the right place. We're proud to be the premier local jeweler, and customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Whether you're looking for gold or silver jewelry, diamonds or gemstones, rings, earrings, pendants, or watches, we have a wide selection of high-quality pieces for you to choose from. Contact Vijay Jogia now and find out why so many local customers count on us for all of their jewelry needs.
I don't know about you. But I'm him. I don't know about him, but that's all my baby. I don't know about him, but I am Krish.
Hi, hello, and a very, very good evening to you guys and girls. Welcome to Chai with Vijay Jogia. However, what's happening today is that we're having a really tough time with our internet today because I don't know why nothing is clicking. I'm glad that you can see the screen is all frozen. I'm frozen there, and our guests are frozen. Okay. So anyway, we'll continue and let's see how far we can go. It's probably computer system is buffering now, so let's see how long it takes to buffer it up, and then. But anyway, once again, we are live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. Let me just go through some legalities here. The purpose of this show is to invite professionals and various achievers to come and to talk to us about their current affair in the areas of their knowledge and their expertise. Now, our guests, they span from all over the world. And the subjects that we cover include anything, everything. Things like law, immigration, real estate, Bollywood, sports, and everything else too. So this program is for your information only, right? There is no money exchange between anybody here, and there is no favorism towards or against any individual or any organization. So guys, I'm really, really excited to introduce my guest today. However, I hope that my system will start to run again. But anyway, let's see what happens. You know, this is high-tech stuff, and it can take long to adjust. Our guest number one is Aunty number one, Australia, Salma ji. If you remember, Salma ji, say hello to our friends.
Good evening. Hello to everyone, all the listeners all over the world, YouTube, and of course through the Facebook.
All right. So that's welcome. Welcome, Aunty number one, Australia. Our, if you remember, Aunty number one was with us last week, and we had a couple of good patients there. But leaving that, let's go and introduce our doctor, our Professor Raghwa Sharma. Professor Raghwa Sharma, welcome to the show.
Good evening all, and thanks for having me again. Namaste to everyone.
Well, I'm glad that you came. Just a little bit about Dr. Saab. He's a specialist at the Westmead Hospital. His hospital title is Diagnostic Oncology, Surgical, and Cytopathology. That's a huge title, but Dr. Saab, thank you for coming. It's very kind of you. And our third guest is Krish. Krish is from Queensland, and he's a very good businessman. And Krish is here to share with us his ideas and a couple of things, right? So that's it. We have introduced everybody. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So now, before we move on, what we want to cover today is we all know that just 2 days ago we heard the really tragic news of the death of one of the best actor, Sushant Singh Rajput, a best Hollywood Bollywood actor, and then we found that the actor had committed suicide by hanging himself. Right now, the media have media reports have alleged the late actor suffered from clinical depression because of anything that could have caused that. But they say it's a professional rivalry. So, and the police are still investigating this. So we don't know what the reality is, but it's still under investigation. So what we'll do now is let me go to Aunty number one, and it was just 2 days ago that you and I were discussing depression and mental stress. You, Aunty number one, have been suffering from both of this illness in the past. And you are a living example of somebody who also attempted to commit suicide. Furthermore, you have also lived in Bollywood in Mumbai and you mingled with the actors a few years ago. So you know what's happening over there, right? So let's go and please tell us what are your views on all this? What are your observations, Mumtaz? Aunty number
Of
one.
Bollywood?
Yes. Of Bollywood
Okay.
and what's happened to Sushant.
Okay, so basically in Bollywood, in the entertainment industry, it's a real rat race there, and it's who you are, where you come from in the film fraternity, and if you are from the family, the Bollywood family, then you don't need much to get entry into the industry. However, if you are just off the streets or any commoner, then it's very hard to get entry unless you are a beauty or very young or very talented, exceptionally talented, and of course with a lot of money and influence. As you do know, this is just the general information I'm giving without being specific, that most of the things also happen through the underworld and controlled, and also it, like I said earlier, it's a red race, and of course all the beginning artists have to go through a hierarchy of stages, pretty much a journey before they accomplish anything and get recognition as such. And Sushant, of course, uh, committed a suicide at the tender age of 34 only, after achieving a mega success, and of course being a TV serial actor, and also acted in quite a few movies as well. However, he did succumb to this atrocity and the most despicable illness of all, that is depression. And depression doesn't just come that way. Like I said, you got to be someone in the industry, and it costs a lot of money. What we see on the silver screen is not what it is. It's not how we lead our life. People share in Bandra, where Sushant lived as well. They do not have a mansion. They have to struggle. They have to pay the agents. They have to even pay the financiers to be able to score a role or even a movie. And that costs a lot of money, time, energy, and money. And therefore, all the strugglers are going through that journey. And unfortunately, Sushant was one of them. He did get recognition, but what glitters is not always gold. He was still a struggler. He was still paying the bills. He had other issues, for example, relationship issues, friendship issues. There are times when the movies are made, you go for auditions, you are promised a role, and last minute that movie is shelved and it doesn't go through for one reason or the other. Financially, if the financier is not happy with the money that he receives, the project doesn't go through, and as a consequence the artist suffers mentally because they would have psyched themselves up towards this role and to the acting, and may have said no to other projects, and it has an impact, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while before it builds up in the system, and it only reflects when it, like, for example, if a bottle is full of water, if you add any more it starts spilling. That's the way it is with the mental depression. It builds up and builds up until you can't handle, and that's when you realize, yes, I am suffering, and then you need medical attention. And when you get medical attention, it doesn't work straight away. It's not like having a fever or a headache and take medication and you get instant relief. Depression does not work that way. It's not only the medication, it's the
Yeah,
whole psyche, the built up, and how you need counseling and how you need family support, especially when you get the demons clouding your mind to say enough is enough, I can't take anymore, and you can't think rationally. Your mind will pound and drive you to do something which is beyond your control. That is when you need to pick up the phone and just speak to your family or a close friend who may say something that may just distract you or avoid you from doing what is not supposed to happen. And unfortunately, in Sushant's case, this did happen. He was alone when the demons were attacking him. His anxiety in the mind was built up with so much intensity that he had no way to reach out to anyone in the last minute. So basically, what I'm in the whole picture of things, what I'm trying to say, in Bollywood what you see is not what it is.
yeah.
And with the yes, did
No,
you
carry
say
on.
something?
Yeah, no, I mean, there are lots of question marks with regards to what has happened, and the police is investigating, and I'm sure they'll come out with uh, some more formidable uh, list of
Yes,
things that
because
happened.
yes,
Let,
Vijayji, because according to the scars on his neck, it's very controversial
let me bring these.
situation, because there are people who are
Yeah,
thinking it could be homicide or a complete suicide. Now, a youngster like that wouldn't do it. However, there are evidence by his hairdresser, his friends, who had expressed concerns for him during the last couple of days or a week, where he looked depressed. And of course, he was on antidepressants. However, it's contradictory to think that someone may have taken advantage of the fact that everything looked positive that way, and he may have been attacked, which is still to be uncovered, resolved, and told to the whole media, to the whole world. However, in the interim, they have ruled out any other foul play, and have said, according to the post-mortem, that it was a suicide. So we
right.
are just going along with what we hear in the news, especially coming from Times of India and through the YouTube.
Yeah,
Vijayji?
so let me, Auntie, let me stop you there for a second. So there are lots of question marks, lots of variables that have not been cleared out yet. So we'll wait for what the official police's report would be. But in the meantime, let's get in Ms. Dr. Raghwa Sharma. Doctor, what are the medical ways to understand if somebody is going through mental illness? If you can
Hmm.
hear that.
So Vijay, medically, it's a disease, it's a condition which has multifactorial reasons that it can occur. So depression is usually the commonest type of mental illness where somebody can kill themselves. And depression can be either what's called a reactive type of depression, which in this case of Sushant looks like reactive type of depression rather than what's called endogenous depression. Some people have hormonal imbalance, like chemical mediators in their brain, things like serotonin and things are not at a normal level. So there is another group of people who actually tend to be depressed by the nature. But in Sushant's case, he was a very active, well-performing graduate as well. So there wasn't any signs to suggest that he had an underlying depression, endogenous type of depression. So all accounts, it seems like he's got a reactive type of depression, meaning that the success itself in life becomes very challenging. That's one thing. He did achieve success, but because he was successful otherwise in life as well, being a very I think he did engineering or some other course, and he was very successful in that as well. So that what happens is, in a person if of a personality like that, there's a lot of pressure. Whatever they do, they want to do it for to perfection. And if you saw his movie, the Dhoni movie, the way he perfected the last six to get India win, that shot is not easy for anyone to do for professional cricketer. For actor to replicate such a thing only shows to me that this
Mm.
guy was very intelligent. he
Gee.
he, he really perfected everything that he did in his life. But movie industry is not a perfect place. There's lots of, as Aunty ji said, there's lots of variables there. There's a lot of gray zones there. There's lots of strings attached to many things. And for honest, hardworking, dedicated person, uh, the whole environment itself can be very challenging, because you see what you see on silver screen is very different from where now you are, and you can't actually, a personality like that, a person like him wouldn't run away from a challenge as well, because that's the nature these people have. A very type A successful type of hard working type of people wouldn't leave their environment just because they are natured like that. So he would take the challenge, and that's what he's been doing. And reading whatever I've seen on Instagram, he has huge interest of life as well. He was very dedicated, like Indian young fellow who knew his history very well. Like he talks about Vedas, he talks about things of Indian civilization in detail. He was involved in many other things, like all these plans that he had for his life. So obviously a very intelligent person, putting all these things together. When he achieved success very quickly, then, because what has come out and what Auntie G has said, there's lots of other people or banners but under different names, who wanted to undermine him, because his success was being driven from a person who made into Bollywood by himself rather than by nepotism, by being looked after by the Karan Johar or Khan families or something like that. This
Sure.
is a guy who was challenging the normal order of how Bollywood runs. And we've
Mm-hmm.
heard about Hollywood last two few years as well, how Hollywood runs as well. It's There's all these other type of difficult situations that they go through. So putting all together, I think, because once his movies were being shifted around, and today I think one of the directors have come around, Shekhar Kapoor, and them have tweeted as well, saying that this guy was being actually robbed off whatever assignments and jobs he was being given. So, for a person who is so dedicated, so steadfast, things like that, when it starts happening to them, they take it very personally, because they are not
Yes,
natured as a playboy. He's not a playboy type of
yes,
person. They wouldn't be able to manage by going around and like talking up to other people or doing this behind the table kind of deals, because he's quite straight. So he would have wanted the right thing to happen, and the right thing was not happening, because it's a place where right things don't happen. It's only for the silver screen. So there's all these factors have joined him to make him feel that because what happens when somebody is ready to kill themselves, there is a thing called nihilistic delusion, where you start believing in yourself that it's better that you kill yourself or you don't live anymore, because that will be better for so many other people. So you start thinking that you are probably doing a favor to a lot of other people. And that is why it can be very dangerous, because it's no more anything about the real situation there. But now, and that's why it's referred to as something like nihilistic delusion. So it becomes so strong that how the energy comes and all these things they plan and plot. And for example, in Australia, like every day, around 6 people commit suicide here, and it doesn't come in the news either. And more than 30, 40 attempt suicide daily. In this country, is such a small country. So it's a huge problem. The mental status of especially young youth, and like 34-year-old from 16 to 45, it's a very difficult zone of where you are trying to fit in a society which is changing rapidly. Technology is changing, a lot of aspirations, a lot of expectations, relationships. So all these factors are playing part in there. And when you don't have the foundations, and you understand the foundations are lacking these days, because we are in such a fast-paced society. Families are very nuclear family now. You don't have extended families, uncles, aunties, aja, aji, nana, nani, or someone who was always there to tap you and have a chat with you. Those things, when are not available in a society, a person has no real that kind of support where they could just talk a little bit, because that's what uncles and aunties and grandparents are. Their parents usually don't fit in that role so well. So that, to me as a doctor, I can see there's a huge gap because of that as well. And Sushant was living alone in Bandra somewhere where his families were not around. So it's very difficult. And when all his family that he was thinking Bollywood was not treating him as a family anyway. So it's a so from medical point of view, this is well described, well understood. Disease condition that awareness should increase for all of us, for the people living in Australia, anywhere for that matter. We should actually, as parents or families or friends, take this seriously. It's a serious illness. When somebody goes start showing any bit of signs that they are being neglected, or they are not showing enough care about themselves, they are very early telltale signs that as family or friends, we better start taking more interest in people, rather than thinking that no, they need to stand up and face the reality of world everyone else has done. No, it doesn't work that way. Everybody is different. Everybody has different capacity or depth of actually tolerating or living their life. So as a general thing, what I'm saying is, I mean, his loss is hopefully in many different ways will open up Indian Bollywood industry. Plus, it will increase awareness for youth, so that his death doesn't go in vain in India itself. And for us, as people who are following him, who are his fans and families here, we should learn from this, because there's no point talking about this thing if you are not going to learn from
No,
something such a major thing that has happened to someone. It seems like many people liked him. Just reading responses everywhere on social media, it seems like he was a very popular person.
very
So
popular. Very.
hopefully, I think something positive can come out of, in terms of awareness, respecting that this is a disease condition and it is a very serious disease condition. I'm actually saying it again. 6 people at least kill themselves in this country, a small country, 20 million people only, 23 million, compared to 1 billion. Imagine how many there die. And worldwide, this is a major problem issue that needs to be talked about. There are other types of mental illnesses we can talk about. If you want me to keep going, I can keep talking. Otherwise, I don't want to just take all the time for myself. But
Doctor, I like to know what are the possible treatments, like in a nutshell, to solve this. How would you
so
treat?
yeah, so passing by, I mentioned the nature of how the diseases arises. So in itself, you can understand the treatments or help can be achieved by those kind of things. When you have caring families, friends whom you can relate with, obviously when you don't have a extended family nature of living anymore, which is Western way of life, there's a huge gap, and we all should realize this. We, me, my family, everyone, that we are very now a small family type of people living together, where there's very little support for anyone. Like for me, for my wife, for my children, anyone. They're all busy trying to pay their mortgage, trying to pay their bill. Everybody is left to manage themselves, and that's not why the human life actually operates. Human life is a social being, living, and we should not forget that. We should still maintain whatever be it relationship in a manner where there's connections and communications. If families are not there, there should be friends around to be able to talk to, so that they can fill in that gap of what I was saying, the uncles, aunties, nana, nani, aja, ajis, all those families that used to do years before. We
Yeah.
need to fill that gap. One. Two, if there are any signs, as I mentioned, families, friends, if they can see, like Auntie ji said, that Baba noticed that he was being unkempt. And one of the commonest thing about depression is people become unkempt, meaning if they were shaving, they'll stop shaving. They were wearing nice clothes before or keeping themselves looking good. They don't do it anymore. They become very quiet. They don't like to eat anymore. They don't want to go to movies anymore. They don't want to do usual walking anymore. They're completely separating themselves. They are signs. So we need to actually make sure we are actively engaging them. I mean, we live in a country which has lots of resources. There's lots of money put in here. There's 24-hour, say, helpline, like Lifeline and other places. If anybody has issue, they can call a number 13. I think it's 131114. There's a
Mhm.
Lifeline 24-hour helpline number dedicated for people who feel unwell mentally. They should call. They should seek help. So countries like this do have some kind. There's a system where you can find some help, and there are multiple other Beyond Blue, Lifeline, lots of other helplines. So seek and try and take that advantage. If the person themselves don't ring, you ring as a friend or a family. Then there's treatment options. So hospitals are there actually, which will admit people if they are really unwell and try and stabilize them. As Auntie Ji said, this is not a cold, flu, viral infection, bacterial infection, heart attack. This is a mental illness. Mental illness is not a organ. It's a system which is in shadow of your body. So it's a physical body. There's a mental body. Deep to is the emotional body. So that body is not a separate organ that doctors or medical professionals can target. It's a sheath which is very difficult to understand. We, as doctors and medical scientists, we are still finding it hard to completely understand the gravity of how these things happen so rapidly. In case of Sushant as well, very difficult to understand the rapid progression. But having said that, there are medications, different types of medications which can be given. Obviously, they need to be taken for a long time to act. And once you are on a medication, don't stop medication on your own, because the medications become like a lever in your cell. They are elevating certain hormones and chemical enzymes and mediators that make you feel better. So if one had to stop medication, then it will drop rapidly like that.
Mm.
So if it goes so low, all that hormones that's required rapidly, you can do very drastic activity. So that is why when you are on a medication, especially for something like depression and things, you can't stop it. It is your doctor who will titrate and control it in a manner that you can only stop. So it's not antibiotic. It's not any other kind of tablet that can be stopped. So please, anybody who is listening to me and is on any medication on things like that, take it very seriously, because there are medications to support people come to to take them out of depression. But You can't stop it on your own self. So these are the stages of managing at least depression, and similarly there are other things, and other kind of other mental conditions that can be treated as well. One thing I add, always, as I said, we should be aware, and what we should do is, as we live our life and grow in a very different environment now,
Looks
which
like
is very solitary, we need to grow ourselves an environment where we look after our mental health from very early age, because we won't have any more of our big group of friends to walk on the road, to go climb a hill or do something. We won't have uncles and aunties, we won't have grandparents around. We will be left alone. So we all need to, as we are growing, doing other sports activities, school activities, we need to now start thinking seriously as parents and families around, create a training, a system in a youth or a young person, where they know how to look after themselves, their emotions, and their mental development as well. And for that, there are things that people can do, which is like understanding yourself better, understanding what is you as a person is more important than someone else judging you. Some fashion industry is selling these things and you can't buy, and it is going to make you sick. Other things that make you become, they have that strength, that you, happiness is within you, that you need to learn that happiness from outside is very temporary and very relative, and it, no matter how much you get from outside, will never completely make you happy. So these things need to be taught now. People don't actually understand this level of living, and that is why there's a quick reaction. And the corporate world, fashion industries, all the music industries, everything that are doing what they're doing are trying to make money. See, let's be very clear about this thing. Nobody is doing anything a favor for anyone. Everybody is trying to make money from everyone else. But what is happening to the youth? They take it as their life is based on that, on those things, very external. Your clothes, your fashions, what's happening outside, the music industry, the fashion industry. It is something, but it takes away, it slowly chips in, and whatever you as a person you are, it's taken away. Your control is being taken away. So you become dependent on external things to keep you happy, and it works for people who are doing it because they're making money of you. But what is it doing? It is making you hollow. You are being emptied of your total, yourself is going. So we need to bring this back. And in some way, no matter how bad coronavirus has been, what has come out is that this period has given people some time to look after themselves, think about themselves, be alone, learn to sit alone sometimes, learn to be in a confined space. This thing has by default has happened for last 3 months, and I hope, and that's why I'm sort of taking a bit more time, that this, what we have done in last 3 months is, if you want to look at positively, it can actually make us realign ourselves as to how we are living this life, and bringing our children. They need to be able to sit quietly. They need to not to be going out every day. They don't need to be spending every bit of money at Westfield or something. Slowly, you find that the strength is within you. So we have to get that back. And that's in the case of Sushant as well. That's what's happened. He has slowly given all his control of himself to either the university where he's studying, who was very successful, but he very good grades. That became his focus. When he came to Bollywood, he did very well, whatever he's doing. But then slowly you are giving all your control of yourself to someone else. And we all are grown up. We know how much nobody actually really cares about you. People are there when you are happy and we have something to give. Most of the time when you are struggling, they will just turn around because they're busy, and we can understand they're all trying to make their own living. So
yeah.
the thing is, this strength needs to return, and there are ways to do it. We need to sit with children. We need to tell them that your strength is inside. There's another component apart from your physical body. There's a mental body. There's an emotional side of you, and we need to look after that as we are trying to look after our external body, which is muscles and shapes and other things. In, say, in case of girls, the hair, the eyebrows, everything like that. There's another thing inside that needs to be looked after, and for that we can talk some other day what we can do about it.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much for that. Mumtaz, Aunty ji, आप बताइए कुछ? So
Yes,
I want to apologize because the internet is freezing at times. It's buffering, but still we'll go ahead. Aunty ji, sorry to disturb.
कोई नहीं विजय जी, thank you very much, and Dr. Saab, Professor Saab, thank you so much. You really gave us a very wide vision of what this illness is all about and how it originates and how to deal with it in the present and in the near future. But what I'd like to say to the people is that, like you've mentioned, Dr. Saab, that there are means and avenues for. Hello.
Yeah, we are here. Go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So just wanted to say that Dr. Saab had mentioned how to deal with in the present time and the future. And of course, the main problem and issue that everyone uh, is facing at the moment is that no one has peace and no one has time. Now, to combat that, to work around that, I would say family support is very, very important and very crucial, because you get that happy energy, the strength, everything starts from the home, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time for a child or a wife or a spouse or a youngster to grow with that strength, that warmth, that closeness, to feel completely confident and to be able to be able to deal with whatever comes their way. It doesn't happen overnight. So family is very important. Plus, having that surround of friends is very important, who understand you, who you interact with. And of course your religion is very important, because by going to the mosque, by going to the temple, by going to the church, you're not going for the sake of going. When you go there, you actually sit down and you experience the peace, the composure, the closure. You have a focus which you not normally you wouldn't do that. But because you are in that surround, in that location, you have the focus and intensity, the ambience, the candlelight, the smoke, the fragrance. It takes your mind away, it relaxes. That's why they say you do soul searching, you do meditation. Why? Because this is just a complement to what your brain is made of. And like Dr. Saab said, that with a medication, we need that serotonin chemical in our brain, which has, but different people have different levels of that. To complement that and have a chemical balance, we need the supplement of medication, which of course people think 1 week I've taken the Prozac or citalopram and I can't see any changes. Now, that takes time. It will only reflect and show in you after a month or two of taking. At the same token, if you drop it and not continue with it, it will have adverse effect as well. Now, only with medication it won't work. It has to work with the family support, with the community. Now, people who are suffering from depression, remember, they always looking for seclusion. They want darkness. They want to coil themselves up in the bed and just be with the pillow and just think, because the demons in the brain tells them that you are inferior. They feel inferior. They're sensitive, right? And then when they can't deal with anything, they shake. They can hit something, not because they do it intentionally. That's why you find in Australian law, this is just my opinion and general information, not targeting at anybody, you will find that there are many cases, exceptional cases where murder is involved or a rape or even accident. How come they're allowed to be free or given a lesser punishment for life? Because that particular individual themselves are not directly responsible for their actions. It is the state of their mind that has made them do that. That's why allowances are made. However, in saying that, one shouldn't take advantage of the illness they have. They should always try and improve themselves, dress themselves up. Now, look at me. I'm a very bad sufferer. I'm telling you right now that last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, it was a very cloudy day here in Melbourne, and I was crying alone in my apartment, having all the comfort, having everything I've got, yet I was crying. But as soon as I had an engagement to go to, people noticed I was withdrawn. I had put on makeup. But the fact lies, the bottom line is you make an effort. It's what you wear, what you do, it's how your mind will think and how you will present yourself, what you will do. Because if you are always in your bedroom in the dark, wearing casual clothes and not meeting and doing things, you will be in your shell and it will be very hard to come out. So, what Dr. Saab has said, Professor Saab, in a very wide scheme of things was very good. However, I'd like to add in that it is very important to practice religion, family support, and bringing in meditation. And I'd like to mention Rohit Roy Kumar of AIFAV, Australian Indian Fijian Association of Victoria. He is instrumental in bringing the awareness of mental health into our community. It's already there. However, he's spreading it, and he is also another president along with his wife Shalini Ashika Kumar in an organization which I cannot name. I've forgotten the name. My apologies. And I'm hoping he will come on board with Vijay ji and give some insight. But thank you for listening to me.
Well, thank you so much, Auntie number one. Uh, Dr. Raghwa, coming back to you, I mean, I think we still need to clarify what are the causes, common causes for suicide, for somebody to. We need to clarify, one
So,
by
as I
one.
said, yeah. So the suicide or the killing part of mental illness is the end stage. Yeah. So, as I was alluding before, all these factors lead towards it. So it's not like a cancer which will slowly eat your body and obstruct your blood supply and go to your brain and stop you functioning. This is, as I said, mental body that we have is a subtle body. So there are different. So there is not an organ, there is not a specific thing, but we can measure different chemicals that it mental illnesses um, deranges in a person, and that's how the treatment is based on what chemicals are associated with what type of mental illness. For example, depression will have low serotonin levels, and you try and give medications which will increase it. But chemicals has a limitation, as I said, for blood stroke last time, or high blood pressure, we can give you tablets. But if you do walking every day, your blood pressure will come down anywhere, quite a lot. If you control your eating habits, your blood pressure will be controlled. If you choose food which don't have too much meat and other things, it will control your blood pressure. So similarly for mental illness, let's not only just think about medications, as Aunty ji said, taking that extra yards to make sure you associate yourself, you dress yourself, and walking daily is good for everything, any kind of status, in a person. So mental illness, be it physical type of diseases and things. So having a habit of walking, having a habit of meeting friends and talking just some freely is very important in our life. As I keep saying, humans are supposed to be social beings. We can't be keeping ourselves isolated all the time. The third part is, and I didn't deliberately touch on it because it's a bit more requires a proper level of engagement, is meditation. Meditation as part of yoga is becoming one of the most important pathways that can help. There's lots of physical illnesses that can be helped, and we talked about it in another talk, or we can talk it sometime again. But for
Sure.
mental illness, why is it so helpful, or why we have an option, is because, as I said, it's very difficult to understand mental body. It is not an organ, it's a system. And things which bring yoga brings in is like different types of asanas or postures, helps you get a little bit fitter, a bit more active. One thing. Second thing is breathing. Most of us don't know how to breathe properly. Say anxiety is reflected by people who breathe very quickly, very shallow. They're quickly breathing and they become very worked up. And when we become stressed and we are busy, we all of us are breathing very shallow, and that is not good for us, because body requires oxygen, and you need to have a proper breath to actually make your blood nicely oxygenated. Your brain takes 20% of your energy of your whole body, because that's where everything is worked up. So if you're not breathing well, you're actually not giving enough oxygen to your brain cells. And thoughts develop in brain as well. On average, a person gets about 70,000 thoughts in a day. Imagine so many thoughts are running through your body in a day, like around 70 to 80,000. And these are unnecessary thoughts, useless thoughts, which won't make any difference to you. So the point is, we need to actually control that part of our life. We are bombarded physically on the news channel by media and other things from externally, but our mind itself has 70, 80,000 thoughts in a day, which is unbearable. If you live, it's like smoking for 20 years, you'll end up getting lung cancer or some other cancer. If you bombard your mind with 70, 80,000 thoughts a day, in 20 years time, definitely it will be finished. So I'm trying to use the analogy to help you understand that this component of our brain, a brain needs to be looked after, because the thoughts that are there unnecessary needs to be cut out, little bit chipped out, so that you are more focused in living. We are not trying to do 100 things one at a time. You are stressing yourself, and you are just making yourself weak. Your immune system also goes down with this kind of status. So that's where I bring in meditation, yoga, with that asanas, with that breathing, proper breathing, oxygenation, gives you relaxation, gives you more oxygen. Your cells become better functioning. And over time, if you learn how to meditate or be mindful, which means basically living this moment now, not worrying about yesterday or day after yesterday or whatever was happened. Nobody cares. That won't make a dent in your life. What has happened is happened. Take a lesson, maybe that's it. Why worry about tomorrow even too much? Why worry about next month or year? The moment of living is now. And mindfulness or meditation part of yoga is very helpful in people bringing cutting out those monkey like thoughts. Secondly, it makes you more focused, which makes your energy conserved, so you are not actually running around after all those things that we talked about earlier, that external things that give you little bit of happiness and you think that's all it is. So slowly it will chip away. And in the end, what it does, and this is what I was saying in the beginning, that it will help you learn who you are. And when you know who you are, you realize that the happiness is actually within you. That if I keep tapping deeper inside me, I'll be able to actually be content rather than somebody else saying everything about my dress, how I look, what somebody else says. that part is slowly chipped away. That's why this aspect of complementary health practice, yoga, and which has been practiced for more than 5,000 years in India. A long time people were utilizing these methodologies to remain healthy. Time has come to utilize for many reasons. And that, I think, we can talk on a separate day in detail as to how to do this thing.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you for educating us on yoga. Also, maybe we'll write down the details of your yoga classes on Facebook so people can find out more if they want to join you. Well, I think we've run over time now, and we'll have to wait for the results from India, from Bollywood, on Sushant Singh Rajput, exactly what happened. So let's keep our eyes open, ears open, and hopefully we'll find out more in due course. And so, if you want to have a last, Mumtaz, Aunty Moore, you want to have a very briefly last message to the audience, and then after you get done.
Yes, I would. And I must compliment Professor and Dr. Saab that you had given us a very good information in a very short time. You had condensed it, and yet it was very, very informative. And also to Vijayji for bringing me on this platform to be able to sit and uh, express my views and opinions along with someone who is so highly educated and a professional, and it has been an major honor for me. Now, to round this up, I just wanted to say one more thing, Dr. Saab, that when you were focusing on the chemicals and also on yoga, now I just wanted to say, whilst practicing yoga and meditation, yes, it does bring the element of breathing, which is very important in terms of anxiety. When people have anxiety, that's when the breathing comes into play. And when we do meditation, it gives us a focus, a relaxation, and that helps along with the medication. And like you said, Dr. Saab, we need that serotonin as well. Now, this medication, as you know, as a professional, helps us to suppress those unwanted thoughts that keep clouding our mind without us wanting to actually think about it. Now, that's what goes repeatedly on a patient's mind. Not everyone, because every patient has their own journey and strength of medication. Now, that is one of the elements that may have contributed to Sushant's suicide, because he may have engaged in so many things, peer pressure and unwanted thoughts clouding his mind and not letting him think. And maybe that may have contributed to his inevitable death via hanging. And we are all very sorry about it, but it is a learning curve. And also, like you mentioned, that during COVID, we also, although it is a bad thing that has happened to everyone, however, every cloud has a silver lining. We did learn something from there, how to coexist, how to be a team player, how to live in the confines of their home, and how to appreciate each other without having the restless and busy life engaging in everything else. We had the opportunity, the time on our hands to be able to share and care. And from this instant, I'm hoping that everyone can embrace it and live and appreciate and value the closeness, the interactions they had during this time. And I'm hoping, Vijayji, you will invite me and Dr. Saab again, and we can go into more living examples and more depth of each issue.
Yeah, yes, Auntie number one, we will. We'll make sure you're always welcome here, and we'll work together. Uh, Final word, Dr. Raghwa, Sharma? Any final message you want to say before we close?
For everyone to know that help is always available. We live in a country, there is 24-hour helpline, say 131114 or other services. 24 hours are available for anybody who is feeling unwell, either depressed or too anxious. So don't feel you are alone. There is help available.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So I like to thank Auntie number one for sharing your thoughts and your things with us, and also Dr. Raghwa. Thank you so much for coming down again. This is your third or fourth visit to us, and I'm really delighted to have you both today. So sadly, every good thing has to come to an end, and this episode of Chai with Vijay is coming to an end. And I like to thank the audience for watching the globe, and I like to thank Facebook and YouTube and other multimedia for allowing us to showcase our shows. I like to invite all professionals and experts. Should you want to come and share your knowledge with us, then please email or Facebook me, and then we can arrange for that. You could be in India or you could be anywhere in the world, and we will try and do this a virtual interview. Well. That's all it is. We come twice a week on Wednesday and Sundays. Wednesdays and yeah, it's either Wednesday or Sunday or two days. We are here. Um, well, that's it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and practice some yoga also. And please look after yourself and your relatives and all your friends. So unfortunately, this is the time to say goodbye. Goodbye, Auntie number one. Goodbye, doctor. I think we are frozen. I do apologize with the quality of internet today, but I'm a,
Don't
we
apologize.
can't do
You've
much
done
there.
so much, Vijay ji.
No, it's a big
Thank
service.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
Vijay,
you
you are
so much.
doing really big help to the community. Keep up your good work. Very good.
Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Sal.
Doc. Thank you,
Thank you, Aunty
Auntie.
Ji. Thank you.
And
Very nice to meet you. Thank you. Lovely.